Welcome to the Patriot Hour. I'm Michael, your host for April 23rd, 2018. It's Monday, mid-morning. We got Scott, Adam in the studio. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get right into it. Okay, welcome back. We got Adam, Scott in the studio.
Good morning, good morning.
More of a good afternoon, Scott.
Yeah. The first show is good morning.
Okay, so where?
We got some fun topics.
Oh, yes, we do.
We got a little bit of California news. We got some WikiLeaks news.
What is going on with California?
California, I got family over there. I'm not going to get into details on who they are or where they're at, but the new California Healthy Youth Act, and this just kind of took shape within the last several days. It's a class on, let me see if I can bring that back up.
I got this one up here.
Oh, you got that. Okay, so
What is it, AB 329?
yeah, that's kind of the one I got. So basically what it is it's a class that discusses gender, gendered identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, discrimination, harassment, bullying, intimidation, relationships, or family, and does not discuss human reproductive organs and their functions.
Now, this is funny because this article we actually pulled up is from 2015.
Well,
so I'm
yeah,
going to see. But it's prevalent today.
This one is March 29, 2018. Members of the board have asked several questions about the California Healthy Youth Act, and then they attach the legal opinion discussing the situation. So I can't make sense of the memo from Orange County Department of Education, whether March 29, 2018 is when they're starting to get backlash from this. I'm assuming back in 15 it actually went through the House, or at least was proposed.
Okay.
So anyway, now it's here. And essentially what they're saying is, and if you read that last part or listen to that last part again, it does not discuss human reproductive organs and their functions. So back when we were in high school, in my freshman year, we all had a sex ed class. And they talked about reproductive organs, and we all were kind of giggling and whatnot.
I had sex ed in middle school.
So,
Yeah.
But now they're saying that this class is not sex ed. It doesn't really talk about the reproductive organs or the sexual relationship between man and woman, how babies are born. Basically what they're saying is this class is about gender and gender identity and how we can shape our kids into understanding and going along with blah 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 their agenda. And now there's some outcry. There are people, and again, I have some family out there. One's actually a teacher that's in a private school, so this is not going to affect that school, but it's going to affect the public schools. And so my one cousin is questioning the right, or can I pull my kid out? Well, if you pull your kid out, you don't get credit for the class, so it's almost a mandatory class. And then they say down here at the bottom, parents who disagree with the instructional materials related to gender and gender identity and expression and sexual orientation may not excuse their child from this instruction. However, parents are free to advise their children at home.
Wow.
Well,
So you're forcing this course onto somebody that has the freedom of their own opinion and views.
yep.
So basically you're telling the parents of every child in that public school in California,
You have to take
that
this class.
You have to take this
Yeah.
class or your child fails.
And my thing is, so this appeals or goes to a very small percentage of our population. So they've created a new class for sexual gender identification.
But even on sex ed back when we were in, we're talking about we were able to be excused. Or there's other days where a class would be showing maybe a movie that was of a
Pictorial.
religion or
Yeah.
I don't even know if they could do that anymore at all from when we were in. But there was times where kids would have a note, or they'd say the day before, we're going to be doing this, folks. Talk to your parents, and if not, they would have a note the next day and be excused
Sure.
for that. And it might just been
You go to the library.
Yes.
Or,
Or
But you still
study
had,
hall
But
or
you still
something.
had to study the information and take the test on it.
Yes.
You know, that was
Yeah.
part of health
you
class,
just
you know.
didn't have to be involved.
I guess it was a
in the
one-day event
in-class
that you were excused
activity.
Right.
from. They're mandating this. It's a semester.
Right. Right.
It's a full-on course.
All about agenda or gender identity. So
what is that? Somebody read that one.
Which one? The top one there?
California
Yeah.
Healthy Youth Act, which took effect in January 2016, requires school districts to provide students with integrated, comprehensive, accurate, and unbiased comprehensive sexual health and HIV prevention education at least once in middle school and once in high school.
So they in the beginning, I love how they say unbiased comprehensive. Okay, so how can it be unbiased if I'm not the one that instructed the criteria that we're going to go over? You know, I mean, they're asking you, you can't argue, you can't debate that this is what we're going to do, but it sounds like from there they've spun it a little bit and they've recreated this class, because nowhere back then in 2015 or 16 does it talk about gender identification and gender equality and all that. So the biggest problem I have is we're still talking about 2 or 3 or 4. Maybe I don't know what the exact percentage is, but I really don't understand how they can implement a class that only affects a few people.
Right, and they don't even know it yet.
Hey, look what I found here.
How is it? It's only HIV prevention. It should be STD prevention.
Well, here
That's all of them that teaches them about sex ed. If that's what that course is supposed to be upon, then they should know about.
And I think they did that in the
the
beginning.
potential STDs, which are sexually transmitted diseases that you could get if you go about partaking in a sexual act unprotected.
Sexual health.
Third line item.
Sexual health education must respect and address the needs of students of all genders and sexual orientation. So that was the first legislature, right?
I think this one, because that first article I had brought up, right here, this was from July 26th of 2015. That's when they put the bill in, AB 329.
Was to see if it would pass.
But where's the information coming from that they're going to, I mean, it's a public school, so it's not the criteria, not agenda, it's curriculum.
Yeah.
Who created a curriculum? And why did we create an entire class, again, for that little bit of people? And I'm not saying they need to be overlooked, because apparently it is a issue with some children. But there's a whole lot of other things that, you know, maybe you or I or you or anybody else wants to be put in school, and people, it doesn't affect everybody. Well, neither does this. This is just another one of those ways to
manipulate.
The squeaky wheel is getting the grease, but now you're affecting 100% of the students because 2 or 3% of them are going through this.
Yeah.
Where does it stop?
Or the, transgender is a really small population, but they're getting huge victories. So let's just read these points. We started on 3, but I'll go back to 1 here. Comprehensive sexual health and HIV prevention education is required at least once in middle school and at least once in high school. That was the one that we read before we got into this. But abstinence only instruction is not permitted.
Wow. So instead of saying the ultimate way to keep yourself from getting sick or a disease or pregnant is to not have sex, somebody in the public school.
They're saying only, like to just sit there for an hour and talk about not having sex, not having sex, because we know that they
religious. That's a religious.
Sure, but that goes back to my point. What if 30 or 40% of us believe that's what we want to tell our kids?
Yeah.
They just don't have sex.
He's kind of right in a way, like most people, we used to say, I'm saving myself for marriage or this and that. But not really. Some people, if they don't have no religion, they can just be in their mind, I'm not going to have any sex.
It's a moral thing.
Until,
moral. And at a government level, that's how they address it, is with religion, because that's the way they can take it away from you.
Yeah, if they can attach religion to it, of course, they can manipulate it.
Eliminate
sure.
All right.
So all instruction in all grades must be age appropriate. I'm wondering who decides that. And medically accurate. I wonder who decides that. Meaning accepted by organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Here's your answer.
And may not promote religious doctrine. All elements of the instruction must be in alignment with each other. So right there, what we just discussed, they are saying no religion attitude here. But again, what if 30 or 40% of the people want religion back in the school?
That's no,
we got to separate that.
Like Dearborn, Michigan, the Muslim population has only got halal foods brought. Now, is that a religion thing, or is
religious.
That? I don't.
Their diet is based on their religion.
I thought.
I would say that to be Muslim is a religious
belief.
situation,
That's-
at least.
that's-
So how can they bring their core
They-
values into the
If they
schools?
separated church and state,
Got to do it for all religions.
Yep.
Right.
Not just some.
So then we went over to the third one. Let's jump down. Oh, here we go. Beginning.
wait.
Oh.
You read some of that. Go ahead and
okay.
finish it up. Instruction.
Yeah, instruction must affirmatively recognize different sexual orientations, and be inclusive of same-sex relationships when providing examples of couples or relationships. It must also teach about gender, gender expression, and gender identity, and explore the harm of negative gender stereotypes.
Ooh, and it also says,
So you're pushing. I'm blown away at this legislation.
hold on, this will really roast you with what you got. Teachers or outside speakers must have training in and knowledge of the most recent medically accurate research on the topic. How is that a medical research? How do you medically research something that is not its own entity?
Well, I believe that they have called it
Mental.
there's a medical term for it now. So that's the first step in the hurdle of getting it into public schools is they must call it something, right?
You can
Yeah.
call
It's
it whatever
it's
you want.
like,
It doesn't make it something
ADD,
real.
attention and disturbance. That never existed. And as soon as they put a name to it, then they were allowed to pound it down your throat,
Yeah.
right? And then after they pound it down their throat, they say this is how you treat it: drugs, medication,
Exactly.
medication,
Big pharma.
right? So
Unbelievable.
I.
It's also teach
And
about
then-
gender expression, and gender identity.
Yeah.
So that just blows my mind because, like, if a guy goes to the doctor and the doctor's like, "Well, how you feeling today, Johnny?" He's like, "I don't feel like a guy. I feel like a woman, doctor." He's like, "Oh, you do? How would that guy know what a woman feels like to even tell the doctor he doesn't?"
Right. And the one comment I always come back with, you don't even know what you are. How do you expect me to understand what you are? But now you want me to have a class, you want me to bring my children into a school that teaches how we all can understand one another.
Yes.
Right.
We already do that. It's called politics. It's called debate. It's called life. But now you want to
You want to name it, package it, and
You never, yeah. So I'm way confused on how we're supposed to get through any of these hurdles or over any of these hurdles about the identity. These are teenagers with lots of problems anyway. When we were teenagers, we were chemically bound,
Yes.
screwed up. And now you're giving them an out here.
Yes.
Right? And I don't want them to have an out.
no.
Let's see, and then the bottom right.
Well,
last
we're reading
one.
them in order. I know you jumped to that one, but go ahead and read this one, beginning, because we're going to go through them all.
Beginning in grade 7, instruction must include information about the safety and effectiveness of all FDA-approved methods of preventing pregnancy and transmission of HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. They don't call them diseases, infections, including condoms, contraceptives, and
What is that? The antiretroviral, thing.
antiviral. Okay.
Continues up here.
Treatment.
So antiviral treatment.
And abstinence. It must also include information about HIV, pregnancy, sexual harassment, sexual assault, healthy relationships, and sexual trafficking. What does sexual trafficking have anything to do with a sex ed class? As well as local resources for accessing care and
Students' rights.
students' rights to access care.
So that's like Planned Parenthood. They're going to be pitching
Yeah.
stuff like that, maybe. Which
And-
they always have, I think, for years. I remember in the class, I think they talked about Planned Parenthood to the...
Yeah, I get it, but I get that end of it. But they're growing this. Again, we're putting a big magnifying glass on a issue that is only an issue because people are making it an issue.
you go.
It's like racism. This is a very good devil's advocate. How in the hell are we not having a class on racism? Isn't racism more pronounced in this country?
Yes.
It's a bigger
It's
else.
the biggest issue we've had.
You don't see the
ever.
NAACP trying to, let's talk about. They're not. So I don't understand how the Californian citizens allowed this to happen. Anyway, I'll read the next. Parents must be notified that their student will receive sexual health and HIV prevention education and be allowed to view the material prior to the instruction. Parent guardians may remove their student from the instruction by submitting a request in writing.
Okay, so they can be removed.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm assuming they still
Maybe.
still have to do the written work themselves, or maybe a test. But.
Now, again, we read some stuff from 2015. I know you're reading stuff on your phone. I don't know what's the most up to date. This is a little behind. This is 2016.
Well,
So
this is
maybe
March
things have changed.
March 29, 2018. But
So then they
but it
might
does
be-
not. It does say here that you cannot excuse your kid.
They
So
might
they're
have
taking
changed
that
that.
out.
They might have changed it by now. So
But-
folks, don't take this as
Yeah.
100%. It's just a rough over.
The latest memo says you're allowed to. You're allowed. I love it. You're allowed to discuss this with your kids at home, but they're not.
But yeah,
you're
you're not allowed to
Thanks
discuss
for
it at
giving-
home
yeah.
either.
Yeah,
That
thanks
was-
for giving me permission to talk. But it says that they cannot be excused anymore from this class. But they're giving you permission to speak about it at home. Well, thanks for giving me that right that I already have. But so then Adam read. Did we go through that one? Did he read the whole?
I only got about half.
I'll read I think you got to the topic, research on the topic. The district must also periodically provide training to all district personnel who provide HIV prevention instruction. Outside organizations or speakers must also follow all laws when they are present in the classroom, I imagine. So that is...
The one that I'm wanting to jump to is that last
Well-
one right there. Instruction must be appropriate for students with disabilities. English language,
English
Language
language
learners.
learners.
and students of all races and ethnic and cultural backgrounds. You see how they made sure they got the whole wide band on that. But yet,
Schools must make sure that all students can get sexual health education and HIV prevention education in a way that works for them. So
Wow.
but yet they're saying that you have to take this course. You cannot jump out of it, or basically you're going to fail.
there's a whole bunch of double standards in here, I think.
They're
You have to listen to us.
hypocritical against
Yeah.
themselves in all of their own statements on this subject.
ACLU.
Oh, jeez. Let's get off that one, shall we? So, crazy. We talked about it just a few minutes ago. But, it seems like in history when things happen in California, it slowly works its way to the Midwest, although I think the Bible Belt will probably smash this one to pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants this in their classrooms. And it's not to say that I am discarding that there is some issues, but if we're not going to focus on big issues, then I'm not going to bend and talk about issues that affect 1 or 2% of the population.
Oh, yeah.
When there are some pressing issues that we should probably be talking about way up front. I don't care how you identify with yourself. I just don't.
You know how you solve that problem, Philly? It's called a school counselor.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
always had them. That's where you go when you got issues that the whole rest of the class can't understand. You go to your counselor. You figure it out with your counselor and you one-on-one. They help you figure it out. You don't force the whole rest of the school to take a course that they have no interest whatsoever, or their family has no interest in them taking.
The spin on that is devil's advocate is if you're going to put your kid in public schools, you're going to fall victim to whatever the state has said is going to be in public schools. I mean, the only way around this really is just private school or homeschool. So
Yeah, and no, like you said, to touch base, California doing things first. It always trickles.
it takes a decade or so.
We get it, but they've been wrong continuously. Like with the legislation for they need illegals. They appreciate it. They do the farming that nobody else wants to do, picking the crops. But here it's been 20, 25 years. Their state is bankrupt. These people that they were hiring at a really cheap wage, they aren't any better off
Sanctuary
either.
cities,
They're not better off.
they
They're
don't-
still broke, poor, living 8 to a house.
Right, but follow our way.
But
and this is this has always been
gosh,
my argument with the Electoral College. Thank God for the Electoral College because I don't want California, New York running my.
I'm hoping and I'm thinking people are waking up to that garbage, that everything they fought for, that would be, they thought we're going to do it this way, everyone will follow suit. It's not working for them. It's actually backfired, and people are running out of that state at an all-time high.
Well, that and they're speaking up now. Now there's a lot of local towns and cities, and the mayors.
They weren't paying attention all these years. Now they are.
Yeah, and it's great to see it, and thankfully the MSM is showing some of it. They don't show a very good job of it. But so then the other one we jumped into, Mikey. Go ahead, man.
Hillary blames social media for losing, then calls for censorship before midterms. So this was on March 2nd, just a few days ago.
But there was the latest one that just happened today, right?
Go ahead, read that one.
So Hillary Clinton is out once again blaming the loss of her election on others. It's like watching therapy sessions when she speaks. Still, she has her fans, and they certainly came out to hear her this weekend. She said she lost the election because of, you just jumped on me. Where did I go here? She said she lost the election because of the charlatans. So now, no more. She's not using deplorable. So charlatans, and is calling for an all-out censorship of her political opponents while claiming she is not authoritarian. Oh my goodness. So former Secretary of State, Democratic President candidate, and congenital liar Hillary Clinton on Sunday warned of an all-out war on the truth, facts, and reason at this year's Penn World Voice Festival. For anyone, this is her being quoted right now, right? Mm-hmm. So for anyone who thinks that our country isn't vulnerable to propaganda or attempts to suppress free expression, you only have to look at the 2016 election, which was a case study in the weaponization of false information and outright lies against our democracy, she told an audience in New York City.
Isn't she the...
It says Hillary claimed that press rights and free speech are under open assault in the current administration. She compared this White House to an
authoritarian
regime, yet she is the one calling for censorship of her political opponents.
Exactly.
Hypocrisy
at its finest. Weaponized false information. Wasn't that the whole dossier?
The DNC and members of her party and the DNC chair came out and said all this. So who is she speaking to and who is listening to her? I mean, she just completely BS'd everybody.
She puts her foot in her mouth.
Yeah. So nobody should be able to speak against her when she's running for are you kidding me right now? So
I don't think anyone should be able to, use the intelligence community for personal targeting and
personal gain into the White House. You mean?
So, like you said, there, she wants to decide what is true and reasonable.
Well, that would be my question to her and to her voters and supporters. Who do we give the permission or the authority to say what you can and cannot say? And by the way, by doing this and talking like this, what right are you stomping on? The First Amendment right. Oh, yeah. She's asking everybody to believe that we need to change the First Amendment.
Bypassing the second now and going straight to the first?
All because we lost the election? Okay, lady, you lost. We're trying to change the rules here.
Clinton, and I quote, "We are living through an all-out war on truth, facts, and reason," Clinton said at the Penn America World Voices Festival in Manhattan. Quote again, "When leaders deny things we can see with our own eyes, like the size of a crowd at an inauguration, when they refuse to accept settled science when it comes to urgent challenges like climate change, well, what about settled science on man and woman?"
Yeah. Stop it. Stop it.
That's where they stop the line, right? It is the beginning of the end of freedom, and that is not hyperbole. It is what authoritarian regimes through history have done, she says.
So she says, like the size of a crowd at the inauguration. Do you remember when they were falsely showing her rallies?
Yeah.
And the camera would focus on this. Oh, look how many people are here. But And then a couple of right-wing media outlets turned around and showed open seating and stayed.
Yeah. But it was like the gymnasium that was huge, so they packed everyone in one corner of it and then set up the cameras perfectly.
They call that microphotography. I actually did a science project on that. But then you see...
We should try that ourselves.
Yeah. Then you see Trump's crowds. They're huge. They can't even get in the damn thing, But... So I find it funny that she's using the size of the crowd at the inauguration. So whatever. She's nuts. I can't believe that her supporters are still listening to this. I can't believe she has supporters. So do we want to read
No, we don't have to read all this.
She's batshit crazy. I'm sorry. Pardon the language, but she's nuts. She's not going away. What's that tell you?
Yeah. Is
she a front runner?
Oh, no.
There's no way that the DNC is going to put this lady... There's no way.
No, they would be foolish to try to prop her up again. And they need to fix their own problems before the midterms, not worry about trying to.
Oh yeah.
And they're already broke. The DNC is so broke, and now they continue to spend the money on the investigations, and that's like, oh my goodness.
Here, go ahead and read. We'll read a few tweets. I just looked. Donald Trump ain't got nothing out. We'll look at Q again before we.
This one's my favorite of the day. The Democrats are suing WikiLeaks and Julian Assange for revealing how the DNC rigged the Democratic primaries. Help us counter-sue. We've never lost a publishing case, and discovery is going to be amazingly fun. So get with, go donate, help the cause. But isn't it funny if you look at those for revealing? Go back up. They're suing for revealing how they rigged it. So.
Well, that's how they worded it, but that's exactly what it is.
That's essentially exactly what it is. You caught me, and now I'm going to sue you for releasing that information.
But that's going to bring a lot of things. Like Q has said, we're going to the discovery process during the court hearings. We're going to find out how the server they wouldn't even hand over to the FBI. It's now going to be used in court. And we're going to we'll prove that WikiLeaks did this, or Julian Assange, or Russia, or Trump. Well, that's just what we want to say. Well, let us see the server, let us analyze it, and then it's going to come back. No, it was Seth Rich.
Yeah.
This is all part of the.
And the prosecuting and the lawyers involved are going to be like, well, Your Honor, they opened the door for this, so since they're going to use it as proof, now we get to dive into it and do our own research, and it's going to spin out of control, and I cannot wait. I can't wait. So, folks, in the next couple of weeks, it's just going to get better and better. The bombshells are starting to line up above. I can't wait for that red button to get pushed, because this is going to be entertaining. I mean, we've spent 15, 16 months going after Trump and collusion, and we're about to find out. Well, those of us already know, but there are some that are going to be like, oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. What
We've been lied to,
Can't blame me. I was lied to. It's like, no, we don't. We don't really blame you. But now, can you please, pay attention?
And like you said, the mainstream media is going to turn right around and be like, well, they're not going to admit they were wrong, but what they're going to find one or two people to blame it on. Hillary's still innocent, and Trump's still guilty, but there was one or two people in the DNC that need to be blamed for this. But don't believe everything Trump's telling you. You know. Yeah. So the spin's going to be entertaining for you and I. We're going to be able to do some good shows on that. But anyway.
All right, we're at the 30-minute mark. We're probably going to wrap it up here. Scott, any final closing thoughts, words of encouragement?
Encouragement.
We're nearing 20K.
Yeah,
right?
Well, yeah, we're going to be doing another thank you segment here soon. 20,000 is a huge number. We didn't expect to get to it, and if we did expect it or talked about it or played around with the idea that we'd get that far, we didn't expect it to be this fast. So, again, thank you.
And we're not hyping people like, what are you guys after, getting the truth out or your subscribers? Well, we want to get the truth out. You have
you have to have subscribers. So
need an audience.
Our audience is great. It's growing fast. Yeah, I guess the only thing I'll leave you with is pay attention to the primaries that come, and pay attention who could be the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader, and pay attention to laws like this that keep popping up. Whether it's in your community or not, you have to keep your eyes open, because precedence is a mother, right? Once the Pandora's box is open, you might find it in your neighborhood. So don't be one of them people that say, "Well, it has nothing to do with me yet." Yeah. Well.
It's hard to close the box once it's open.
A lot of people in Europe said the same thing. The Nazis aren't here yet, but by the time they got there, and since you didn't do anything or help the cause, you were surrounded. So anyway, the domino effect happens. So be vigilant. Do some reading, do some research, and keep ringing the bell. We appreciate it.
All right. Yep, we had Adam in the studio today. He's going to be stopping by probably more often here. He's been involved behind the scenes. He's probably going to come a little bit more on the scene. So. Great things. I would say the same as Scott. Just we're going to all start paying attention. The whole Q thing, once it's all cleaned up, folks, and we get to a better world, a better America, a better life. We're not shutting up shop. We're going to be here to hold the next administration in check and watch them real close and help. Accountability, reason, and just. Freedom and liberty for all, right? We don't want to lose any of it.
Amen, brother.
All right.
Thanks, Scott, Mike, for having me on the show today. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you're on a little more often.
Heck yeah. All right. That you heard it there. This is a Patriot Hour.
Protect those rights.
Keep fighting for your freedoms as well. We'll see you back here real soon. God bless. Godspeed. Have a great afternoon.